Om Namah Shivaya. Good morning, good afternoon, on a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Many people, very regular. So the translation is Shiva Kami for Vietnamese. And Chinese is Kumari. So the topic of today is about anger. It's quite an important topic. We did talk about anxiety and fear, which is another important topic. But also now the topic of anger. So in the scripture of yoga, Bhagavad Gita, and you have the teaching on anger. I will just read the line in chapter 2, verse number 62. It says, when a man or woman, when a person thinks of an object, of the objects, I mean many objects, that means when the mind is turning outward instead of inward and looking out and then see different objects. Object can be something happening. It can be, you know, a person also can be object. But when your mind is not turning inward anymore and you're looking out, attachment to them arise. I mean, you get attached to the object and to the result. What you expect. There will be expectation and attachment. And from attachment, desire is born. From the attachment, I mean, you are not in the space where you are with yourself, but you are in the space of seeing things different than you. When you see things different than you, then you will be attached to them and you have expectation about them. And you have desire, okay? So desire is bringing the likes and the dislikes in your mind. That means the attachment bring about the likes and dislikes in your mind. Okay, so now I go back again. You see the chain of reaction. If you are not turning inward and you see the truth about yourself, then you see outside, you see the objects. Then the attachment, you get attached to the object, you think of the object. Then from the thinking or the attachment to the object, the desire is born. You like them or you don't like them. So desire comes from ignorance, lack of knowledge of the self. Okay? Most of us is in ignorance. Therefore, we are very restless. There's so much desires in the mind. And therefore, all the yoga practices help you to be content, to be self-sufficient, to not project your idea outside, to be content, to withdraw your senses. So you diminish this force of desire, which is rajas. But if you don't do any practice, then the desire will be there, because the objects will appear in your mind to be real. Then the attachment will be very real. Then the desire will be very strong. And when I talk about desire, I talk also about the primal desire, sexual desire that is strong. Then from desire, anger came. Anger comes from desire unfulfilled. So that's a definition. Anger comes from desire unfulfilled. Okay? So to go to the root cause of anger, you have to go to the desire. And the root cause of desire is not knowing your true self. So therefore, to deal with anger, you need to live a spiritual life that will turn your desire into contentment, into the desire, sattvic desire of service, sattvic desire of union with God. At least you go on that direction, to turn inward and to find the self. That is called spiritual life. Okay? If not, your mind always turning outward, and then you will get attached, and then you find fault with things, and then you'll be angry. So the Bhagavad Gita continues. It says, from anger comes delusion. Delusion means complete mistake. You mistake something for something else. From delusion, the loss of memory. So you don't remember yourself anymore. This memory here is a memory of the basic healthy thing, which is memory of yourself. You lose yourself. Yeah, when you have anger, you go crazy and you lose yourself. From loss of memory, the destruction of discrimination. So if you lose your memory of yourself, then you have no more the capacity of thinking. Okay? The capacity of thinking of what is important, what is not, what is right, what is wrong. And from the destruction of your discrimination, you perish. That means you lost yourself, and sometimes you do something very wrong. Yeah, you kill somebody, you you create a war, you do something wrong, and then it creates a lot of suffering to you, and sometimes irreversible. Yeah, you end up in jail. So many people do wrong things. They end up in jail for the rest of their life in the fit of anger. Okay, So also, Swami Sivananda said, all the effect of anger in the book Bliss Divine, he talked about ill effects of anger, and it's so nice. He said anger spoils the brain. I mean, you cannot think. It spoils the nervous system and the blood when the anger came. The prana will vibrate rapidly. You become agitated and excited. Your blood becomes hot. Many poisonous ingredients are formed in the blood. Basically, when you're angry, you poison yourself. Even 3 minutes of violent hot temper produce ill effects in the nervous system. It takes months for repair of the injury. So, rheumatism, heart disease, and nervous disease are all due to anger.
I didn't understand that.
When anger is there, then your capacity of reasoning run away. When you are angry, it's like you are drunk. It's like you are taking lots of alcohol. You loses your memory. Your understanding becomes clouded, and your intellect gets perverted. That means it turns around. You cannot really think. You cannot think properly and clearly. Okay? You can, he said, Swami Sivananda said, that if you eradicate anger, it's possible to remove completely anger out of your life. If you can eradicate anger, all the bad qualities will die by themselves. So it's a chief guy. If you keep anger, then a lot of other negative qualities are there. So anger will bring about injustice, jealousy, harsh words, cruelty. Okay. Okay. So that's the ill effects of anger. But the self-controlled man, moving among objects, with the senses under restraint, and free from attraction and repulsion, the likes and the dislikes tendency of the mind, attains to peace. So the opposite of anger is peace. The self-controlled person will be moving among objects. I mean, your consciousness is still there. You still see objects, but you control the mind and the senses, not allow the mind and the senses to go and search for objects, and at the same time, allow the mind to become disliking something or liking something too much. Free from attraction and repulsion. So when the mind becomes calm, centered, then it doesn't swing so much. the up and down of the mind is not so much. You stay most of the time in a calmness state. It's called sama. Sama means serenity, quiet. At that time, you have peace. So sama is one of the important qualification of somebody that want to know the truth. I mean, I want to experience the bliss of the soul. Then you need to be serene or quiet and calm. So that's why we need to work on our anger. And sama comes with dharma. Dharma is control of the senses. Okay, sama, dharma, and the turning inward. Yeah, the resolutely turning inward, not seeking for external pleasure, and the cultivation of endurance, bear insult, bear injury, cultivation of faith, always have the faith that you will get better, faith that you are being taken care of, faith that nothing you need, so you don't need to get attached to anything, and stay in the state of balance. Okay, so this is the qualifications for you to be able to be anchored in the truth of yourself. Okay, so that I remind you the qualifications, and it starts with sama. That means the tranquility, the not being disturbed by desire and by anger. In that peace, Krishna said, all pains are destroyed. So if you want to be free from all your pain, because anger also, frustration comes from anger, and frustrations give you pain. Okay? All pains are destroyed when you are able to come to peace. And your intellect becomes steady. That means you'll be able to see the truth all the time and become steady. If it's not steady, then it runs back into the old grooves of desires and expectations and frustrations, and the mind go up and down again. So you need to control the desires, control the senses, turn the mind inward, have faith, be able to stay very calm and stay balanced in a steady manner for a long time. Then your clarity of mind becomes steady. There is no knowledge of the self to the unsteady. I mean, if your mind is up and down, then you will not know the self. You lose yourself in the emotions, in the likes and the delight, and the desires. Yeah. So then you get more and more frustrated. All your relationships get spoiled because no relationship can survive. All this, anger and expectation. So you want to have peace in your life, peace in your relationship. You have to keep working on yourself to go to the root cause of your mind, which is full of desires. And then you need to calm your mind by all the practices of yoga. Calm your mind, withdraw the senses, turn inward, find contentment and satisfaction with yourself. Do what you need to do, but let go of result. Let go of pride. Pride comes from ego. Let go of expectation and be content. Be calm and content. Then at that time, automatically, your intellect will work better. You'll be able to discriminate. You make better choices. Yeah, your discrimination, that means your capacity to know what is right and wrong becomes more clear. So you don't expect too much of other people. You don't expect too much of yourself. You know it is a process. The process of becoming more wise, becoming more calm. So then you become more detached. The moment that you know the bigger picture, you don't lose yourself in this expectation, then you can become detached. It's very difficult to become detached when what you think is the cause of your problem and your anger is still there, and you think it's the fault of somebody. Yeah, and you keep finding fault in something external. Therefore, you keep nourishing your resentment and your anger, and it keep creating this habit, this habit of expectation, this habit of judgment, this habit of irritation. Yeah, will become more and more, deeper and deeper. And then you get yourself entangled. Yeah? So your life is difficult to progress. You don't feel better within yourself. You don't feel calm. You don't feel joy. Yeah, because you are deep in this emotional groove. Yeah, and it's difficult for you to think properly. You see? So this is a chain reaction. So that's why if you go to the symptom, which is the anger, yeah, and you work on your peace, then you find the self. Right? There is no knowledge of the self to the unsteady, and to the unsteady, no meditation is possible. When your mind is too much up and down, up and down, up and down, agitated, then you cannot meditate. And to the unmeditative, there can be no peace. Then there is no peace. And to the person that has no peace, how can there be happiness? So Bhagavad Gita again tell you the whole chain reaction. If you have no peace, there is no happiness. So whatever you do to look for happiness externally, you will not find. You'll be just restless and restless and restless. There'll be no happiness. So, necessity to control the waves of the mind, to control the expectation, and the emotions. So Swami Sivananda talked about way how to control emotions. So he talked about you need to reduce the force, the frequency, and the duration of anger. So that's number one. It's difficult to control anger, but you need to reduce the force of it, the frequency of it, and the duration of it. He say anger is a manifestation of Shakti, the divine energy. So try to attenuate or have less. Do not allow it to become a big wave in the mind. Entertain divine thoughts. So one of the way is do a lot of japa. Japa means meditation on mantra. And kirtan. Kirtan is chanting. So what you're doing, you are channeling all your desire, your emotion toward the Supreme. So you repeat the name of the Supreme with feeling, and you chant the name of the Supreme by kirtan. That also would sublimate all your emotions and reduce the expectation, the ego, and the anger. Okay? Or you can repeat some prayers, also prayers. Or you can read some sloka of Bhagavad Gita, of scriptures. That will switch your mind. Study Ramayana, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all the scriptures. Develop gradually the opposite positive divine virtues like patience, love, and forgiveness. The anger will slowly die by itself. So if you keep cultivating love, cultivating generosity of heart, instead of trying to find fault with people, find fault with yourself, but try to be more accepting, more generous, less judgmental, have more patience and forgiveness, then eventually your mind just shift. The whole mindset will just shift level. Yeah, shift level means it switch. It become more healthy. Yeah, more wise and more elevated. It has more Ojas Shakti. Ojas Shakti is the power of love, the power of also of immunity. You become healthier. The power of immunity, the power of love, the power of sustenance. It keeps you healthy. Yeah. And it keeps you more connecting. So Ojas Shakti help you to connect to the essence of love. You become more satisfied and contented. Okay? You get that? If you don't cultivate Ojas Shakti and you all the time, blow it up, then you dry yourself out. Yeah? And then at that time, you become more irritable, more angry, and not loving. So that's why the necessity of a spiritual life, of yoga life, of bhakti yoga, in order for you to keep nurturing this Ojas Shakti, that help you to be calm, contented. You see the connection? Yeah. If you're calm and you're contented, you're more healthy, immune system is strong, the mind also is able to resist negativity. Yeah. Not just only disease, immune system is not just only disease, but also the negativity in the mind, that is a form of disease. Yeah. And then at that time, you become loving, and you become forgiving. Instead of you are being burned by the judgment attitude of your mind and the likes and the dislikes that is making you go up and down. So it's a whole shift that can happen that will solve your problem. And the whole network of different practices that need to happen in order to keep the Ojas Shakti strong and keep you calm. Very important to keep you calm. He said that food is very important. What you eat, has a great deal to do with your irritability, whatever you eat. So you need to take sattvic food, calm food, to control anger. Milk, fruits, dal, all the greens. He said, do not take onion, garlic, because it induce the rajas and the tamas, and give up all the hot food, hot curry, hot chutney, meat, alcohol, smoking, drinking. All this will make you more irritable. So you need to let go of this. Whenever there is a burst of anger, do not argue. Okay? And try to control the speech by pure reason. He said, if you find it difficult, then just leave the place. Take a long walk, drink cold water, and repeat Om Shanti 108 times. And repeat your mantra. Okay? So, you see, you cannot expect perfection in this world. You cannot expect perfection in people and in yourself. So you have to accept the good and bad in people, and you have to work on yourself. So that's a problem. So we expect perfection in people, and that's why we are angry. So now he said, the difference between anger and righteous indignation. Okay, he say that anger comes from selfishness. It comes from egoism. It is aroused by real or supposed wrong to oneself. So you think that somebody insult you, or somebody do something wrong to you, then you become angry. So that is the egoistic cause of anger. But he makes the difference between indignation and anger. Indignation is impersonal and unselfish displeasure at an unworthy act. So everyone claims that they are not angry, that they have this called righteous indignation. Yeah, but pay attention, because your intellect can just switch things around, yeah, and justify. Okay, because he say pure indignation can come from a pure mind. It's not followed by regret and needs of repentance. Pure indignation is more self-control. So let's say you walk and then you see somebody beating a dog or something. Yeah, then you shout at the person to stop. Yeah? So that is indignation. You are not really doing it for yourself. Okay. But indignation is a duty. If a person wants to correct another person, and it is unselfish, it's called righteous indignation or spiritual anger. Okay? Sometimes our teacher can be using spiritual indignation in order to help us to wake up. Only when the anger is the outcome of greed, of selfish motives, it is bad. You say sometimes a religious teacher has to manifest anger outwardly to correct his disciples. He has to do it. But inside, he's cool. A good person's anger lasts for a second. A person of a middle stature, anger lasts for 3 hours. And a person of lower nature, anger, will last for a day and a night. And a really bad person, anger, will last until death. That means if you're angry at somebody, you have to look back and you have to forgive, and you have to forgive yourself, you know, very as quick as possible. But don't carry the anger until death, until you revenge, until, you know, you destroy everything. You see, that is the quality of a person of low nature. So he said like this, to measure the length of your anger to see where you are at. Okay, so remember there is different kind of anger. It manifests in many different ways. Irritation, the waves of irritation in the mind. Frowning. Resentment. Resentment means anger, but you don't necessarily express it, but you keep it in your heart. Indignation, rage, fury, wrath, all varieties of anger. Depends on the degree of intensity. Anger is a sudden sentiment of displeasure. You don't like it. Okay? It is sharp, sudden, and brief. But resentment is also anger, but it's persistent. It might not express itself. When you resent somebody, you're angry at somebody, you might not say it, you might not blow it, but you are holding it in your heart. It is continued anger. It is bitter, brooding over injuries. So you are thinking all the time about your injury. Okay? You're holding in your heart your injury. So irritability is a mild form, a subtle form of anger. And even displeasure, I mean, you don't like it. Displeasure is also a form, subtle form of anger. It is pride mixed with anger. Okay, pride mixed with anger will become displeasure. With a sharp word, you dismiss that nuisance. These are all forms of anger. Okay, so it's enough. You use the 4 paths of yoga to control anger. Okay, so you need to continue practicing. The result of it is you change your consciousness, you become a calm person. So to remind you, you do karma yoga, yeah, to control anger. So that's what I advise somebody recently, that cannot control their judgment attitude toward people. And I said to do karma yoga. If you can turn your life around and try to remove that ego by doing karma yoga, you offer everything up, then you see the result. The result is you don't have this expectation, irritation, and your rapport or your relationship with people will be different. Yeah, your relationship with people when you do karma yoga is the attitude of service, the attitude of love and of forgiveness and flexibility. But when you are doing things based on your ego, then oftentimes the anger is there. Not oftentimes, is for certain the anger will be there. So remove the ego by doing karma yoga, selfless service, and offer your success and failure when you do karma yoga. Either you're good or not good, you're successful or not, it doesn't really matter. So it's not about you. So therefore you change completely your attitude. And then you can practice also bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, then you have to self-surrender. In bhakti yoga, you have to do self-surrender. That means it's not about you, it's all about God. Okay. So either you are fulfilled or you're not fulfilled, you accept. Okay? You accept, you surrender to God. So then at that time, most likely you don't have this anger. You remain open and flexible, okay? Ready to adapt to all situations, and you accept everything. Everything happens for the best. So when you practice bhakti yoga, you, by being very flexible and self-surrendering, accepting, and know that God take care of everything, then you will not be angry. Yeah. And you need to practice Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. You know, Hatha Yoga will give you more prana. Yeah, make your immune system stronger. Do breathing exercise, do pranayama when your mind is upset. Very important to balance the mind with pranayama. Keep the mind calm and concentrated when you are engaged in life, yeah, so that your mind becomes strong, so it doesn't go up and down too much. Yeah, Raja Yoga is helping the mind to be strong. Okay, Hatha Yoga is balancing the flow of the prana. Okay, so keep practicing yoga, meditation, in order to keep calming the mind and remain positive. Okay. So that is the third practice, Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. And the fourth practice is Nyana Yoga or self-affirmation. Okay, that means you need to remember your own true self. Yeah, so you have to say, I am not this temporary person. I am not these relationships. Okay, so you don't feel that you're tied down to these relationships that you have in life, and then you are constantly angry at people. Yeah, so you need to feel that all these are temporary, but you are the immortal self. Okay, I'm not these emotions. You withdraw yourself from the emotions. I am not this intellect, because sometimes the pride of intellect create the anger. So you have to withdraw from the intellect. Sometimes not withdraw from intellect means you become stupid or something, but you need to detach. Yeah? You need to detach also from intellect, even if you are right. Okay, so you have to detach. I am Satchidananda. So keep affirming, I am Satchidananda, eternally present and eternally fulfilled. Okay, so this is the practice for everybody all the time. You don't have to be very sick, or you don't have to be very angry in order for you to practice, but you have to understand generally the cause of your frustration, the cause of your anger, the cause of your emotions, because you are not connecting to your true self. Okay, and then from there comes all the desire and the vision of objects and the lack of discrimination, and start to see things imperfect, yeah, and think that you hold the truth, but you don't hold the truth. Yeah, when you think that you hold the truth, you are not holding the truth. So therefore you would have to be humble, yeah, and try to not to be so you know, involved in judgment of other people, on expectation of other people, and keep focusing, be calm, and keep focusing on yourself. So that is the whole general thing. So today we learn about this anger and emotion and how it is necessity to do spiritual practices, yeah, in order for keep yourself strong and healthy and not fall into your tendency of whatever tendency that you have, the tendency to be proud, the tendency to be righteous, thinking that you are God, you know, judging other people, but never look at yourself. Okay, so Hare Om Tat Sat. So thank you very much for listening, and I see you next time. So from now to next week, don't allow any anger to come in your mind. Okay, so that's your homework. No anger, no resentment, just forgive and replace with love for 1 week, and you see if you can make it. Okay, so now please look at the screen and we will do arati. Arati means a prayer for light, and just pray for light, because that's all you need. Yeah, light. Oh.